All right. So I have a quick update for you guys. On Monday's show, we heard from Alan Rice, who heads up the New Hampshire Firearms Coalition. He told us about a statewide permitless carry bill his group was working to push through. Well, today, Governor Sununu signed into law. So basically, New Hampshire becomes the 13th constitutional carry state. Congrats to Alan and the Granite State. Our next guest is also a leader for his state's Second Amendment fight. Sam Peruta is the executive director of GOC, the Gun Owners of California. What's going on, Sam? And I'm pretty sure I slaughtered your last name.
Peruta.
Colion.
It's an honor. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you. You're one of our heroes. You're one of our bright voices and bright lights out there spreading the truth about the Second Amendment. But here in California, we are behind the razor wire. We're in occupied territory.
Absolutely.
Just yesterday, I had a meeting with all of the pro-gun organizations, including NRA and the CRPA, the California Rifle and Pistol Association, to go over a list of approximately 30 new bills that have been sponsored in the state legislature to affect our gun rights. So we are way behind the eight ball here. There is nothing that they are leaving, no stone unturned to try to suppress our Second Amendment rights. They just don't get it. They do not understand what shall not be infringed means. So we are in siege here.
I disagree with you. I think they do get it, which makes it worse.
You're absolutely right. Their whole goal is total control, and they know that they cannot control us as long as we are an armed and law-abiding populace.
I think long ago this has stopped being about altruism in the sense of they really care about people's safety, because I know they played that card at the very beginning. Now I think what California and the politicians in California are doing is pretty utterly disgusting, and it has everything to do with, like you said, this sense of control and this overt sense of elitism that plays California, especially on the political scene. And I really do feel for you guys out there, and I know you guys get it a lot because a lot of people tell you guys to just move. But last I checked, California was still part of America. We don't just tell people to move just because their rights are being infringed upon in a part of a country where they're not supposed to be.
Colion, we have understood that what happens in California either affects or infects the rest of the country.
Absolutely.
And we're here to try to be the exterminator to prevent those negative, anti-constitutional things that come out of California to go and affect our freedom-loving brothers and sisters throughout the country. So we're here to fight. We're entrenched. We are the remnant, and we will win, especially with the help and prayers and the support from freedom-loving, freedom-experiencing Americans throughout the country who understand what's going on in California and do everything they can to be a part of the process. Members of the National Rifle Association or Gun Owners of America, Gun Owners of California, NRA, CRPA, being involved is the way that we are going to have the resources we need to fight back and to win.
Yep, absolutely. And it still bothers me considering the genesis of a lot of the things within gun rights and gun community took place in California. The very first AR-15 was built in California. It's amazing to me. But
the Armalite rifle was developed right down here in Southern California. It was first considered built as a sporting gun, as a hunting gun, and then the folks saw, hey, this has military applications, and it has as well as hunting and personal protection and target shooting. It was the gun for the masses to be able to shoot well, effectively, easily. You show us every time you do a show how much fun they are to shoot, how easy they are to shoot for guys and gals and youth. And that came here from California, but unfortunately, the whole subject of assault weapons bans also was born here and has spread throughout the country, and we need to fight back on that.
If there's any positive that I can come up with respect to the state of California and gun rights, is what you just talked about. Is the distinction, or the transition, or the decay, so to speak, where they became at one point were a shining beacon of what was possible from a firearm standpoint, only to generate into what we see now as this anti-freedom state that does everything in its power. And I'm not talking about all the people who live in California, but the politicians who are advocating these laws, these gun control laws, and limiting the Second Amendment rights of the people in California. If you don't think it can happen in your state, look at California. People think, oh no, we're too pro-gun in Texas for anything like that to ever happen to us. Well, I'm pretty sure somebody was saying that about California at some point. Now look at it. So it's just something we definitely have to keep our eye on and pay attention to, because it can and it will happen in your state if you let it.
One thing that California is also very good at, and that's exporting radical liberals, the anti-gunners, not so much the pro-gun liberals, but they're going to Oregon and they're starting to fight there. They're going to Nevada and they're starting to fight there. They have hopes on one day getting Arizona. They're fighting the fight in Washington. They're going to Colorado, and that's coming from here. And we've got to stop that.
Yep.
And that's why we have to work together. We have to work together in the legislatures, telling the truth. You give us so much good work, good foundation to be able to share the truth to the legislators, the policymakers, and we know they're lying because they look at us like we're Martians when we tell them the truth. Secondly, we have to continue to support in the courts, where we are going to get our biggest victories. I'm very confident that in the future we're going to get some of the most important victories that will help us turn around things in California. And finally, like the NRA did this year, and Gun Owners of America, and all of the groups that were involved in the elections.
Yeah.
So we have the legislature, the courts, and the elections, where we have to be engaged 100% year-round in order to fight for our rights. So it's a big job.
Absolutely. So now, quickly, tell us about the big California case, Puerta. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Peruta.
Peruta. Okay. Peruta versus San Diego. For people who are too familiar with that case, what's that a case about?
This case is a case where the sheriff of San Diego, who has an anti-gun history himself, came in and said that he was not going to issue concealed weapons permits to anybody because the law gives him the authority to decide what good cause is, and he gets to decide what that is. So in California, a lot of San Diegans sued the Sheriff Gore, and they said that he's violating their Second Amendment rights. The federal district court said that their rights are not being violated because California allowed open carry. Of course, we only allowed unloaded open carry, which is like allowing people to carry rocks in their hand.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So, and that case stood for a while, and then California banned open carry.
I keep telling people it is a slippery slope. I know it sounds so cliche. I know we say it over and over and over and over again. But just like the guest before you, when I was speaking with Hank Strange, and we were talking about the magazine limitations in New York, where it started at 10, then they try to bring it down to 7. Same here. They say, okay, well, you can open carry. Oh, no, never mind. We take it back. You can't open carry anymore. Right.
So that case was taken to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which we know is the most overturned, most leftist circuit court of all the appellate courts in the country.
I call them the troll court.
If you make me laugh, man, I can't respond. Well, anyway, and they selected a 3-judge panel randomly. We happened to get 2 Constitution-believing judges and one who did not like the Second Amendment. Yeah. And they ruled that it is unconstitutional for the sheriffs and chiefs of police to not issue CCWs, and that the only real constitutional reason that anybody needs to offer is for personal protection, and that is sufficient. And if they offer that, then by all the rules, they should be given a CCW. Well, the whole court went absolutely ape doo-doo. They went crazy. So somebody, miraculously, one member of the court asked for an en banc hearing, which means that instead of a 3-judge panel, it's heard by 11 judges, including the Chief Justice, who was the one who was the dissenting judge on the 3-judge panel. Yeah. And so the 11 judges held a trial, and they totally reversed the 3-judge panel's ruling and said that no, there is really no Second Amendment protection for open carry or concealed carry, and that no people's Second Amendment rights are not being violated. And so at that point, the California Rifle and Pistol Association and the NRA, who are the leaders in this lawsuit, decided that it was important to appeal or raise that to the Supreme Court. So they're asking for a grant of certiorari so that the Supreme Court will take this case. And then all of our organizations pretty much across the country, many district attorneys, governors, police chiefs, sheriffs, law enforcement groups, private citizens have all participated and requested that the court take this case because it is an important question on the Second Amendment. if the Supreme Court takes this case, Colion,
Yeah.
and they decide that we do have the right to keep and bear arms, both in the home and outside the home, and that we don't need any reason other than personal protection, it will be a huge victory. And I think will set the stage, I think, from my perspective, for eventual constitutional carry nationwide, which is the way it should be in the first place.
Absolutely.
But this is a very important first step to accomplish that goal.
Absolutely. And I'm more power to you. And I know you guys are out there working hard. You are behind enemy lines. And I mean, it's unfortunate. But for the people out there, you know, it's not just a lot of people think a lot of Californians are just sitting there, you know, twiddling their fingers and their thumbs and just hoping things get better. When you have organizations like yours out there actually fighting a good fight. So I really want to thank you for everything that you're doing.
I'm going to ask you a favor, man. Keep giving us material that we can use in short fights that are pithy and that are effective, so that we can go to the legislature and anybody who's willing to listen to make our case. We know we're going to lose in the legislature. We know it's going to be a tough battle in the elections, but the courts are incredibly important, and that's why we have to be involved in elections and in the legislature in order to strengthen our case in the courts. So God bless you, and thank you for what you do. We look forward to working with you and NRA and CRPA and Farms Policy Coalition, all of the groups who are fighting the fight here in California. We're more united now than we ever have been in history, and that is something very important to say. Our rights are on the balance, on the brink, and that's why we have to fight now more than ever.
Yep, and I always say it, man. My heart bleeds for California. I love the good people in California, not the weirdos and the crazy people, but all of the good people in California. I love it there, but right now the state of the gun control laws is just abysmal. So we definitely have to keep it up.
Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely.
Look forward to being with you again.
Absolutely, will do. Thanks, Sam. So we're going to check out some new suppressors from Inland Manufacturing after this short break.